Depuis leta tutoshaka mpori, akutupatia tena ingine budongo. Na njoo shida tuko naye. Mwaya sasa tutusaidie na shepe, mtu anatusaidia kama uko na shamba. Watu kumalisha mmea itakusaidia. Lakini mbuta alime, watu kuna hata shamba, fasi ya kujenga hakuna.
It is no secret that millions of native people around the world have been forced off their homelands to make way for oil, mines, timber and agriculture. But few people realize that the same thing has happened for a cause which is considered by many as much nobler: land and wildlife conservation. The conflict began in the bucolic stillness of the Yosemite Valley. From the middle of the 19th century until 1914, when Yosemite became a national park, a concerted and at times violent effort was made to rid Yosemite of its natives. During the same period, most of the major parks created in America, notably Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, Everglades and Olympic, repeated the Yosemite example by expelling thousands of tribal people from their homes and hunting grounds so that the new parks could remain in a state of nature. This practice of conservation was exported worldwide, becoming known as the Yosemite model. The number of people displaced from traditional homelands worldwide over the past century, in the interest of conservation, is estimated to be close to 20 million. 14 million of them in Africa alone. The latest conflict between conservation and indigenous peoples is the Ogiek case in Kenya. Since time immemorial, the Mau forest has been the home of the Ogiek tribe, a mostly honey and fruit gathering people. Some of them still live deep in the forest in their traditional way. The majority these days also grow vegetables and keep livestock, having been forced into settlement camps. They gather honey from beehives, which they have made from hollow logs and placed high up in the trees. At differing altitudes on the mountain slopes, the trees all flower at different intervals, so that the Ogiek can usually harvest honey all year round. This honey is pivotal in Ogiek society and culture. It is used for food, for brewing beer, and also to trade with neighbouring peoples outside the forest. But times have changed in recent years. The Mau forest is one of Kenya's most important water catchment areas, feeding the rivers Zondu, Nyoro, Mara and many more. The River Mara is the lifeline of the Masai Mara, a large national park, well known for its legendary biodiversity and abundance of wildlife, which extends into Tanzania's famous Serengeti. As a result of the semi-legal and illegal settlements in the Mau forest by tens of thousands of Bantu and Nilotic people over recent decades, and the transformation of vast forested areas into farmland, with the resulting degradation leading to pasture, or more often these days wasteland, more and more rivers in Kenya are drying up, and the country experiences drought. In 2009, this resulted in a compulsory relocation of people by the Kenyan government. But that approach is highly controversial among the population and has fueled many conflicts. Another extremely controversial matter is how to deal with the Ogiek. Up to now, they are permitted to stay. As indigenous people, they have rights over their land as written in the UN conventions.
Go, check Panigo, Ganyo name. Go say, Gishabate new. Go Ganyo name. Making a jitake. Go say, go ban a lega poiship. Keep making an angle work away very too. Kayaking and Gavaber. Go on, Banige, give me Jagangala. Gile, Ganyo name. Oh, Ganyo name. Why go always acted I am me. Make what you get again. Make it what I'm going to go up. I wake you. Nigi Sibira. Amugi Gani, where Chani into ye met. Boys here. Kokasiriki Janani. Kosibit Kiganga Makwanda.
What will be the future of those people when they are evicted from their homelands? And what will be left of their unique culture? One of the earliest examples of conservation ignoring the needs and the rights of native peoples is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Kahuzi-Biega National Park. Today, this vast area of primary tropical forest is the home of the last eastern lowland gorillas, who live only here at an altitude range of 2,100 to 2,400 meters above sea level. During the Civil War, which started in 1996 and officially lasted until 2008, the national park remained mostly unguarded, and atrocities continued as the wildlife was hunted by poachers and rebels alike for meat and monetary gain. Only the bones of the forest elephants can tell those stories. Around 250 gorillas are left, and it is not easy to find them. It is good news that these primates now have a safe place to live and are protected by forest guards. But this forest within its mountains Kahuzi-Biega also used to be the home of the Batwa people, Africa's so-called pygmies, who were known for centuries as the guardians of the forest.
Ndio tunafurahi pariki iko na sisi tunaifurahia, lakini kimoya tunachukia ngambo ya pariki. Haiweze kumbuka, serikali halitukumbuke, na sisi kama walitufukuza, leta kafukuza mtu kwake, anamuonesha ingine nafasi, asa hapa ndo taikala. Lakini sisi gouvernement tuyue namna gani gouvernement iko inatumika. Na bya gouvernement tuyue kama ni kazi beko banafanya. Juu serikali inatusahabu. Mgouvernement kama nasema ngitupangia yetu nafasi tungifurahi. Na kama banashinda baturudishe tena mpori yetu. Tubakie tu ndani ya pori yetu sawa vile tulikuwa tunabakia. Haiko kusema se tutabakia tunasumbuka.
The Batwa, who belong to the oldest culture on Earth, have lived since time immemorial in the forest as a semi-nomadic people. Their cultural identity is based on their relationship with the forest. They perceive their environment to be plentiful and benevolent, calling the forest mother, father, provider and lover. The Batwa spend long periods of time in the heart of the forest, living in bands of between 15 and 40 people, hunting for meat, gathering plant food, collecting honey, their nomadic way of life requiring few possessions. The Batwa's lifestyle was adapted perfectly to the environment, and their survival had always depended on the survival of the forest itself. With the increasing pressure on the forest in many forms, the area available to the Batwa was shrinking daily. The most devastating development was the ever-growing number of Africans seeking free land on which to cultivate crops. This led to the creation of the Kahuzi-Biega National Park in 1970, and all Batwa were forcefully evicted from their homeland. Exactly the same has happened to the other Batwa communities in Rwanda and Uganda. The ancestral land rights of any Batwa have never been acknowledged by the governments, and no compensation has ever been offered for their lost lands and livelihoods.
Maisha yenyewe tulikuwa nayo ndani ya poli, tulikuwa na chakula mule mupoli, tulikuwa na viazi ya poli, tulikuwa na asali, tulikuwa napata nyama ya bule, hatukukuwa na hangaika na chakula ya sasa tutafutishe makuta tu, tulikuwa natosha nguvu yetu kutafutisha asali na kuua nyama, na vile tulikuwa napata asali mule hatukukuwa nateseka. Sasa hivi tu leo tuko nateseka.
While the Batwa adapted to the changes to their environment by adopting new economic activities and thus new traditions and identities, they continue to face challenges to their very survival. Today, much of the available land, apart from areas reserved for wildlife conservation and environmental protection, is under cultivation. Unable to access their ancestral lands or to practice their traditional lifestyle and economic activities, the Batwa continue to suffer discrimination and violence as a result of ethnic prejudices.
Sisi baleo sasa tunaona kama nasie ile njia ile tu tunamalizika. Wanatufukuza mshamba yetu, hakuna mahali wanatupatia mahali pengine. Tunajiwazi SK bana tafuta hii nani? Hii community ya Bambuti ndio wanatafuta imalizike, wala hatuyue ni nini. Sie tunaona kama inakuwa kuisha hii kumalizika ya Bambuti. Bambuti wanatafuta kumalizika.